None of them had expected the apocalypse. Not on a beach day. All that planning gone to waste. The children's old wetsuits would have been fine for another year after all. Still, how were they to know? No one had touched the picnic either. She thought of the eggs boiling, the moment of removing them from the water. How time always seemed to drag. She could see the second hand ticking across the sky, giant's footsteps beating out its rhythm. The worst thing about boiled eggs at a picnic, she thought, was not knowing how they had turned out until someone opens one, which could be hours from the point of their creation, or the anticipation. She wondered how the eggs she had cooked that morning had turned out. She would never know. She looked down at the cooler, tempted to just rush over and tear through them one by one just to find out. There must be something more significant she could be thinking, she thought to herself. There must be a more meaningful way to spend your last moments on Earth. At least they would not have to contend with the threat of car sickness on the way home. At least there was that. She looked at her husband. He seemed to be doing remarkably well. The low-level anxiety he usually carried with him seemed to have disappeared. He seemed almost serene. No, he was serene. Actually, he was relieved. The struggle that had become his life was now over. No more pitiful, demeaning economic slavery. He was with his family. He was with his family, the sun was shining, the air was fresh. He was thinking of the very satisfying shit that he had taken just before they left. If there was a good day to die, this was as good as any. The children were terrified and bemused in equal measure. Thankfully, both had it in mind that death was much like a reset on a computer game, so the true impact of the situation was somewhat lost on them. Or not, depending on your point of view. They all felt a strange sense of pride in being the only family in earshot not to scream when the final moments came. The last senses of life they had were of the warmth and the smell of the embrace that they held themselves within. That and the final word of the youngest child. "Mum?"